Right, so let's get this over with first. I've stood here with John and I've heard this called a canal and a river, and I'm not going to say it's neither new nor a river because everyone starts neither in that boring way. It is an aqueduct or a waterway. Aqueduct, Latin, to lead the water. And the water comes all the way from Hertfordshire, from the springs, and it once went open all the way down to a place you know so well, Sadler's Wells, into the lower pond, and was a kind of what we call a reservoir today, from which the water was piped down to the people and factories of London. Now this is a redundant bit. That once upon a time, the New River, as it's called, did flow through here. It's now got, it's an open walk as far as Clissold Park, north of here, off Green Lanes. After that, in the 19th century, it was put in a pipe. But in places like this, they'd left it open. So it's where the New River once was, but it's no longer part of the water that still flows in a pipe. Well, in fact, I think it ends at Clissold Park now. It doesn't flow to Sadler's Wells anymore. Anyway, they decided to keep this as an ornamental bit of the old New River. And there it is. So you need to explain why they built the New River, having got the name of it. And then you're into the fact that the rivers, the Thames included, and the wells of London were filthy and polluted. And very little pure water to be had. That's why people drank beer. So much. But really water was also needed for London industries. London population is growing, tanning, brewing, dyeing, all needed clean water. And so it was decided to bring it down from Hertfordshire. You need to research Hugh Middleton, he's the man. There was an earlier attempt, you could mention or not as you please. He took over and he watched it completed. He was no philanthropist. This was a money-making venture, and he wanted to sell water to the people of London. And I think he lost money at the beginning. You could research that. He had to pay out lots of compensation. The King, James I, the Scot, wanted to make money out of it. There's an estate called Theobald's in Hertfordshire, and the plan was to run the New River through it, and the King made a fuss, but he was bought off. So you can research that. Hugh Middleton's quite interesting. Anyway, it started in 1609 and finished in 1613. The engineering is worth talking about. It's fantastic, really. There's it's 40 miles. It was 40 miles. Oh yes, you like the story. It's only 25 miles or so as the crow flies, but they came round the contours, you know, when they built it. And it drops 18 feet between the springs in Hertfordshire and when it reached the lower pond in Sadler's Wells. So it's all gravity, very slow flow. I think it's 8 centimetres a mile. Well, I don't know why I'm amazed. I mean, the Romans did it, didn't they? I always find it amazing that we did it in the 17th century. There's all kind of stories. People drowned in it, it is said. I don't know how you drown in 4 feet of water, unless you're drunk, of course. People did fall in. There are stories of people falling in. But I don't know, you might find a story of drowning.
There's something about the, I can't remember his name now, that started the Royal Humane Society. He founded it because of people were drowning here, and he decided they needed somewhere resuscitating.
And what did he do here?
He lived near here, and he kept seeing these people drown.
Drowning?
Yeah, and he started the Royal Humane Society.
How would you drown in 4 feet of water?
Children drown.
People couldn't swim in those days.
You can.
Panic.
Yeah, if you can't.
If you've had a drink, you will.
Yes.
There's a story about Charles Lamb who watched his blind friend watch into it. I don't know if he died or not.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they'd call out to them.
Yes, not just that. No. Where I live, you can see the bottom. It's gone very green here. But anyway. Oh, if you want to talk about the little hut behind you, you'd have to walk and turn people round, wouldn't you? It'd be easier with 6 people, I won't bother, but you'd have to walk through and turn them round. There's various stories about what it was. somebody I read, I was told it was a watchman's hut to stop people peeing and diving and swimming in the New River. But Mary Koch says it was a workman's cottage, and it's probably 18th century. So people working on the New River, repairing it, keeping it flowing, that was for them. If when you research you find there are only more little huts, or there were more little huts once upon a time on the New River, let me know. Because I don't think, no. So, I mean, I don't know why there'd be one for one workman, unless they've all been pulled down, of course. And
Did they
I
actually
don't
live
know
there
that.
then?
Huh?
Did they actually live in there?
Well, he kept his tools in there, went and had a cup of tea in there, I don't know.
Yeah. So just
But
like a
why just
hut.
one, unless they were all along, you know?
Oh.
Anyway, and then the New River made this a very pleasant place to live, and still does. And the price of these houses, well, you can go on Zoopla. I haven't done that, but they're going to be.
Don't lean on it, it'll fall over.
Right.
Okay,
Now.
if you've got any questions.
Not bad, Mary, but try not to start with let's get this over with.
I will remember that. I'm becoming very familiar with you.
Mary, was it 09 to 39?
James I was on the throne
Yeah.
of England. People might kind of relate. Sometimes you tell them the king, they relate a bit more to it. The first, we ran out of kings here, and we had to go to Scotland
on this.
by the king.
13.
1313. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now the next stop is presents a bit of a problematic challenge. Okay, because it is some way away. But we do walk through an area of varied social housing. It's almost the whole history of Islington social housing is about to be displayed. However, it's not in itself a useful stop. So you might want to, after you've seen what we're going to do now and had a go at it yourself, you might want to warn people what we're going to do and tell them to look out for something. And the one thing you might look out for is, I'll point it out to you as we're walking along, but on the left there's a stone plaque on the side of one of the council blocks that tells you it's the first ever council block in Islington. So it's worthy of note, isn't it, in that story. We're heading towards Islington Town Hall. That's what we're going, aiming for. So if you'd like to follow me, let's do that.